price action of the market, you know, after we drifted down like all damn day yesterday. By the way, it was fun having everybody in live chat and stuff, or in chat yesterday. It was a heater. Now, we drifted down all day. So like every single bounce was getting faded, and actually the price action, you know, on the downside was pretty nice. It looked like, you know, we were setting up for just a full-blown, right, full-blown flush. End of the day, we got a squeeze. You know, it's, if you look at the S&P 500, to move the S&P 500 like 90 handles off the lows, I mean, that just takes like an act of who knows. But that's the squeeze of squeeze, right? So that's really good price action when you think about it. If you're like a bull, you know, you're about coming into a crash scenario here, right? Like we were down about 650 points, and then out of nowhere it comes. So there's two things that we have to take from that. Number one, you can't overstay your shorts, right? Like if you're in TVIX or you're shorting, that's awesome. We like to short, but you can't overstay them. The second part is you got to use hard stops when you're in them, because the market can just roll right over and reverse so fast that, you know, if you like pause for even a second, you're going to get smoked out, right? So you got to take your stop, and then you may have to flip. And you never want to flip back and forth too much, like long, short. But if the squeeze is there, the squeeze is there. You got to flip it, right? And then you got to go in with that and kind of wait for the first pullback or the first flag to take it down. It's just the market conditions we're in. That was one hell of a squeeze, and there's just not much you can do. I mean, it looked like we were about to get dusted yesterday, right? And then, you know, the squeeze came on. So that's awesome. We'll do what we got to do. You know, in the meantime, we're seeing a little bit of some strength pre-market in the market so far. So that's good. You know, when we're thinking about, you know, pre-market strength, we have been getting gaps kind of get faded off. But because we're following it up with such a nice day, nice close, you know, we may have some upside follow through. The worry for me is this 9 EMA over here. If we can break over it, then I think that we'll have some potential upside to kind of fill this thing into 160. So that's just something, that's the level that I'm looking at. Like if we can get over this 9 EMA and hold, then I think we're going to be able to really have a couple days of, you know, some upside. Now, it does not mean that we're out of the woods, right? You didn't see like monstrous volume or anything like that. This is just nice price action. It could be a bear market rally. It could just be short squeezes. We don't necessarily know till we know. What we can do is play the levels that we're seeing in the market. So we know that, you know what, if we start to fade off today, which very well could be, we have had the Friday boogeyman come out so many Fridays in the last few months that, you know, can today be the same thing? Could, right? We could smack right into that 9 EMA and roll back over. We don't necessarily know. What we do know is the short-term price action has been telling us that there are buyers in the market, that the market is getting defended. And so if we get over this 9 EMA today, which it looks like we're going to open above, you know, we'll have a little bit of upside, move to about 160. That was where the big breakdown was, right? If you think about like charting and how you want to look at technical analysis, always think about where the breakdown was, right? So like on the S&P it was at 260, on the QQQs it was at 160. So a classic bear market kind of action would be, right, you break down, you get really oversold, and then you kind of snap it back into the breakdown spot. And that'll be the key level that we have to see to figure out if the market is actually going to start to reverse and come back into its normal range, or even start to trend, or if this was just a bear market rally and we smack back into that breakdown spot and then we roll back over. So we don't necessarily know. All we know is that the price action has been constructive the last couple days, only due to the squeeze at the end of the day. We called that the stick save, and boy, it was saved. In the meantime, there's like almost no good gappers to play, you know, today. There is just like some action in some of these, a couple small cap stocks like QTUM, Quantum, but it's gapping right into resistance. Not my cup of tea. You know, OPK, you're seeing that too. You know, obviously, what was the big winner yesterday for most of the day till it faded off into close. You know, you may get a day 2 on this one, but now that it faded off, it's back under all these resistance levels. So that's where you got to kind of be mindful of those things. You know, that first pump is amazing. The secondary ones are never as fun because now you've got levels of resistance that are overhead, but the first one is really sick. All Day did a good job nailing this thing yesterday. Man, what can you say? $4, right? Good. Watch list. We'll keep it to the same kind of names here. There's no point of getting into obscure stocks right now because if the market starts to run for like 2-3 more days, then you'll start to see like stocks get picked off bottoms, like different types of names, different types of sectors. But in the meantime, you know, you can still stick with some of the main ETFs and stuff like that. You know, Tesla's got some news out that they added some new board members or something like that. So this has got a little bit of a spike to it. You may get a little action on this one as it gets back into the range. I will say this one's got the relative strength compared to the rest of them. Twilio had a nice couple days. You may see a little upside on this one. TNA, SQ, Roku, you know, they all look the same. So like when you're looking at, I think Labu's got probably the most room to run because it's 9 EMA still like $3 away. So you still got an extra 10% before it even hits its first level of resistance. And it's got the best kind of squeeziness in it. Like when it starts to go, you know, you'll get like kind of $3-4, you can move $3-4 on this thing really quickly. I think that's going to be the way to go. Oh, man, 12 inches is rough. I thought you had a 15 at least, Mr. Chrisman. There are these like little side monitors you can get. Let me find you a link when we settle down for a sec. They're like $100. You get a nice, cool monitor hooked to it, and you'll be fine. Good. What are you guys watching? Hey, Denny, what's up, baby? How are you? Chad, APRN. Guys, it was a pleasure having everybody yesterday, you know, for trading. We'll make sure to do it again at some point. And give Josh a big holler when you see him for kind of stepping in when my computer froze. Yeah, APRN is kind of tricky because it's like it's a breakdown and the pullback right into this thing. Good. 1 OPK AFA. Yeah, you may get some action in AFA. So look, this thing has got like a good move into the close, and you're starting to see. I have noticed it's been fading off gaps a few times, so you can keep on your list. If it's just got to kind of come out of this range here, I think you're good to go. DGAS. Yeah, so like see how this thing is bouncing up the 9 EMA? If you rip over 100 on this, I think you're gonna you got probably $100 magnet on that. So if you can get to it, that's gonna be the level of resistance. It won't break it kind of that first tap of the 100, but if you roll over it in a few days, which at some point it should, that's gonna be a nice breakout because you'll have room to about 150 or so. In the meantime, though, one thing with pre-market, one thing about DGAS is like you never want to chase this thing on spikes. You know, what you'll see often, you know, at the open, this is the kind of play you want to look for on DGAS. See how like when it gaps up, let it pull back here and start the hold. Use a trend line in the VWAP to help with your timing, and you'll get really nice pushes on it. But if you try to chase strength on it, or like you try to buy like some type of mini flag pattern on it, it doesn't work as well, and it just doesn't have the heat on it. So make sure when you're trading DGAS and UGAS that, you know, they're starting to trend and then you're hitting the pullbacks on it. That's going to give you a lot more room to go. This stock works really well on pullbacks. And guys, markets go. Let's go do what we do. As always, it's Friday. you know what happens. Don't mess up. You don't want to ruin your lonely New Year's Eve by gambling on a Friday, do you? I mean, most of you guys probably be sitting around jerking it anyways all day, but you don't want to do that with losses. That'd be crazy. So let's go and have a little fun and do what we got to do. Love you guys. Peace.